Hand texturing techniques can greatly assist in identifying many pertinent properties of soil. The materials you will need include a 2 mm soil sieve, a hard and flat instrument to break up soil aggregates, and a water spritzer. Any container where you can control the amount of water released will do. Texturing soils begins with properly preparing your soil sample. Place your sample into the sieve. It is important to remove as much vegetation matter as possible, as it will affect our texture. While sieving, use your hand or a hard, flat instrument to break up any soil aggregates that are present. After sieving, discard any remaining plant litter, but save the rocks to estimate percent rock fragment. If, despite your best efforts, herbaceous litter is still present in your process sample, you need to remove it as best as you can. You can pass the sample through a finer sieve if you have one available, or do your best to separate the soil from the litter. Compare the volume of the rocks removed by the sieve to the volume of the original soil sample used in a graduated cup or beaker. Estimate the percentage of that total volume that consists of rocks larger than 2 mm. If there were larger rock fragments that weren't able to fit into your measuring cup, you'll need to remember to adjust the final soil and rock estimates to account for those larger rock fragments that were in that layer of the soil pit. Pick up a handful of soil. You want about 25 grams, which is about the size of a golf ball. Use a spray bottle or a plastic water bottle with a hole poked in the lid to slowly apply water to the sample. Work the water uniformly into the soil with your hands. The soil should be thoroughly damp, but not overly wet. If the soil is glistening, it is too wet. Add more dry soil from your sample. You're aiming for a Play-Doh or modeling clay-like texture. When your soil retains the proper level of moisture, clump it together to form a ball. Toss the ball up and down in your hand. A soil ball that stays intact upon landing is indicative of higher clay or silt content. The more clay that is in the soil, the more stable that ball will be. Alternatively, as sand content increases, the less stable the ball will be and the more easily it will collapse. To hand texture the soil for the ribboning method, take your soil ball and hold it in your fingers so that you can use the knuckle of your thumb, not the tip, to push the soil out over your forefinger. You want to hold your hand so that the ribbon you create is parallel to the floor, not pointing upwards or downwards. This way, you're supporting it, but not too much. Let the ribbon fall naturally due to gravity, and measure the length of the segment. The longer you can make a ribbon, the more clay in the soil. If the soil crumbles instead of holding together when you press, it doesn't make a ribbon. Overworking the soil can break down soil particles and artificially change the soil texture. If you work the same sample for more than 2 minutes, or if the soil becomes tougher or takes a lot more force to manipulate, it may mean you're overworking it. If you need more time, you should start again with a fresh soil sample. Take a small amount of damp soil into your hand and gradually add more water until the soil is no longer solid. Place your finger in the water and identify the feel. Gritty means you can feel individual grains in the soil with your finger. Smooth means that the wetted soil is slippery or soapy in feel. Neither gritty nor smooth means that neither of those two textures dominates. You may still feel some grains of sand or some soapiness, but the feel of the soil is not primarily one or the other. The cylinder or Tootsie Roll method is helpful to estimate clay content in the soil. Using a moist, medium-sized handful of soil, roll the soil between your palms to get a Tootsie Roll cylinder of soil about as long and thick as your index finger. The rolled-out cylinder should have a slight sheen to it. If it doesn't, your sample is too dry and you need to mix in more water and re-roll the sample. Pick up the soil by the end of the roll. Hold it parallel to the ground and observe. If it immediately breaks, the clay content is less than 15%. Slightly shake it. If it bends when you slightly shake it, it has between 15 to 35% clay. If it bends a lot, it's closer to 15%. If it bends just a little, it's closer to 35%. A moderate bend is about 25% clay. The worm or wire method is a helpful method to estimate clay percentage. Make a soil sample that is the same consistency as for the ribbon method. Roll the soil to make a worm or wire that is the thickness of a pencil and the width of your palm. Pick up the wire slightly off-center, wait about 2 seconds, and then slightly shake it 1 to 2 times if possible. If you were unable to make a wire, the soil has less than 8% clay. If you made a wire but can't pick it up, the soil has between 8 to 12% clay. If the wire breaks within 1 to 2 seconds of picking it up, it has 12 to 18% clay. If the wire breaks after 1 to 2 slight shakes, it has 18 to 26% clay. If it bends with cracks, it has 26 to 36% clay. If it bends but doesn't crack, it has 36 to 44% clay. And if it doesn't bend when shaken, it has more than 44% clay. For the ring method, make a soil sample that is the same consistency as for the ribbon method. Roll the soil to make a sample that is the thickness of a pencil and approximately 8 centimeters long, or a little more than half the size of your wire worm sample. Gently bend the sample until you form a circle. Do this against a hard surface or on your hand, rather than holding it in the air. The ring you form should be approximately an inch in diameter. Note whether it forms a ring without breaking and whether there are any cracks in the ring. From the soil ball stage, firmly press your thumb into the sample for about 1 second. Lift your thumb straight off the sample without smearing the surface. If you can see a fingerprint left in the soil, this means the soil has more than 25% clay. From the soil ball stage, hold the ball in your index and middle fingers. Using your thumb, firmly and quickly swipe the top half of the sample off. Make sure to avoid touching the newly exposed surface. If there is a sheen or shine to the surface when you move it in the light, then it passes the shine test. A higher shine is indicative of a higher clay content. Make 2 equal pea-sized samples and place one of them into the palm of your hand. Slowly add water until it can no longer retain any shape. Allow the water to run off slowly through the creases in your hand, while trying to keep as much soil on your hand as possible. Note whether the water running off is clear or has sediment and color in it. If it is clear, then your soil is likely a sand. When all the fine clay and silt sediments have washed off, you can compare the amount of sand remaining to the original ball to estimate sand content.